This is Objectified, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Good to see you.
Okay, let's do it. I'm Harvey Levin. This is a story about one of the most successful immigrants in the world. Arnold Schwarzenegger became the gold standard of professional bodybuilding, something his parents did not embrace.
My mother said, why does he have all these oily guys, hanging on the wall?
So she thought you were gay. He scoffed at conventional Hollywood, determined to become the biggest movie star in the world.
I want to be another Clint Eastwood.
And his third act may be the most stunning, becoming the governor of California.
It was the most rewarding thing that I've ever done.
But there were failures, like the affair we thought ended his marriage. It's now 6 years later. You're not divorced yet. Why? Arnold Schwarzenegger, the man who repeatedly defied impossible odds and became the epitome of the American dream. Hey there.
Hello.
Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
inviting me into this gym. I pay money for gyms that don't have as much equipment as this. This is
Well,
amazing.
I thought we should start here.
But before we start, I took the liberty of walking around a little bit.
Right.
Oh my God. Is this what I think? Is this Muhammad Ali?
Yeah. He gave it to me as a souvenir because I became very good friends with him, and he's one of my idols. Because he's not only one of the greatest athletes of all time, but the most generous person. And I think that he taught a lot of other athletes, including myself, about giving back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start. So, I think it's so odd to me that we're going to start talking about your life in Austria when we're in this opulent setting. But I got to tell you, when I walked in here and looked around, what struck me was the picture of your parents kind of looms over this whole gym.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, first of all, I know that I come into this gym every day. That gives me a chance to also see my parents every day. I love my parents. They're terrific, but the other side of the coin is they never really approved of the weightlifting and the bodybuilding. They didn't understand it. It was just in the beginning, it was really tough. They had their own vision that I should become a police officer like my father did, and, get married in Austria and all of those kind of things. Have a girl by the name of Heidi and have a bunch of kids and like the Sound of Music kind of thing, So being up in the Alps. And I had bodybuilding pictures all over my bedroom. So then my mother said, why does he have all these oily guys, hanging on the wall when all the other boys have girls hanging on the wall? So then she called the doctor.
So she thought you were gay?
She just thought there was something off. She didn't say that. My mother didn't quite understand it. And so the house doctor, you call for anything. You call if you have an illness, you call if you have a problem.
My son's got bodybuilders on the wall. Come in and help quick.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's a gross understatement to say you grew up far from privileged.
Yes, I would say so, yeah.
No toilet, no running water. You were poor.
We were poor. My father was working as a police officer. My mother stayed at home. She was the Hausfrau. We did not look at ourselves as poor. It was quite normal.
When you end up taking a bath in the same bath water as 3 other family members and you get the black water, at a point you've got to feel like this is not a great situation.
No, it was so normal in our house. And remember that the house next to us didn't have any flushing toilet either.
So tell me about your dad.
He was a nice guy, but he was a tough guy. He was a product of the Second World War. So after the war, when I was born, 2 years after the war ended, they did not deal in those days with post-traumatic stress syndrome. And all of the people, all the guys that were in the war that I grew up with, they came back with unbelievable side effects of the war. They felt like losers, and they felt like, depressed. And my father, he was drinking because of the pain that he still had. He had shrapnels all over his lower leg. He was a strict dad, and don't screw with him because he will punish you, and he will make it very clear that the whip is right over there, you're gonna get it.
Did you feel abused?
No, never. Because when I went to school, my neighborhood kid, my friend, told me that the same thing happened to him, and another kid said the same thing happened to him. So everyone had their stories.
I don't want to suggest this is a good thing, because it's not, but it feels like it almost motivated you, that it almost gave you resolve.
Well, you know, the saying, that what does not kill you will make you stronger. And that's exactly what it was. It was like some kids broke, and other kids didn't, you know, and I definitely didn't. And to me, I felt like, okay, I'm going to create my own world, and my own world was the lifting world. So this was kind of all of a sudden my positive feedback for the first time. So the gym was the place to go.
Meinhardt, your brother, he was the golden child, kind of. Your dad kind of looked at him that way?
My brother was fantastic. I mean, he was great looking. He was a great athlete. He was 1 year and 14 days older than me. And so he was always ahead of me in everything. If it is in athletics in a school or in general with knowledge and everything like that. And he was smart and he was talented in every way. I mean, he was really fantastic.
He died at 25 in a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
He was apparently drunk and got in a bad car accident.
That's right.
How'd that affect you?
Well, it was a blow, because when I came home, I remember I came home from a trip from back east, doing a posing exhibition in the seminar.
You were in the United States by then?
That's right, yes.
You didn't go to the funeral?
No.
I'm interested why.
I didn't have the money. I didn't have the money.
There are a lot of people who are poor who give up. Why not you?
Well, there was really no option. To me, it was like kind of, okay, this is not something that I feel comfortable with. I don't like living here. So all of a sudden, I started forming my own kind of vision. America is the place for me to go. I got to find a way to get to America. So I became obsessed with that.
Okay, tell me what that is.
This is to do ice curling with. It's something that you use this, and you kind of slide it on the ice.
Ah, and you got that when?
I got this one when I was 10 years old, so this is very old.
10 years old is around the time you decided you wanted to bolt from Austria.
Yeah.
Tell me, like, I don't know if you remember, can you remember the minute you kind of had this epiphany that I'm going to America?
When I started watching documentaries, the Super 8mm documentaries that we have seen once a week in our classroom.
Here in the land of the free.
Where they showed the United States, and they showed New York and the huge bridge. This is Golden Gate Bridge, and they showed the freeways, and I've never even seen anything like this, with so many lanes, and the ocean, and Hollywood, and the high-rises. Oh my God. The infrastructure was just so extraordinary, that the buildings and everything, that I said to myself, this is so little around here. I mean, I'm around little farms. I mean, what am I doing here? This is where I should be. So then I had to figure out how to do that. And so as time went on, I said to myself, well, maybe it's through sports. And all of a sudden, I was sucked into the gym, and there I started training. And then when I read the cover story where Reg Park, this three-time Mr. Universe, was on in this pose, in this Hercules pose, and I read his story. It said that he started out in this little town, and a few years later he became the British champion in bodybuilding and the powerlifting champion, and then he started winning Mr. Universe, and I said to myself, wow, that's the career, that's what I should do. I should just follow that. It was like a blueprint for my life. And that he was invited as being the Mr. Universe to do a Hercules movie. So I said to myself, wow, this is perfect. I cannot even believe it. I said, so I'm going to go and get into bodybuilding, be a champion, and then maybe I can get into movies, into Hercules movies.
Right, but there are not many Reg Parks, and there are a lot of people who try.
Absolutely, but for me it was not even a question. It was not even a question, would this happen or not? The not did not exist. It didn't exist at all. It was like, this is what I'm going to do, and I would do it. And I was 100% convinced it would happen.
You're 15 years old, and you decide, I'm going to become Mr. Universe someday, and you've got a lot of friends, and you're telling your friends, I'm going to America, I'm going to be Mr. Universe, and they think you're crazy.
Of course. I always say one of the rules to success is not to listen to the naysayers. Because every time you want to say something that is extraordinary, people are going to say that's impossible. No one has ever done that. But they totally missed the boat that, yeah, no one has done it. That's great because I'm going to do it. Well, you cannot go to America. What do you think? They were going to wait for an Austrian farm boy over there? Well, I did it. You know, you want to get in the movies? No, I don't want to get in the movies. I want to be a leading man in the movies. I want to make the most money. I want to be another Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson. Those were my idols. I said, that's what I want to be. And they said, that's impossible. So they always would say that. You have to understand that people are afraid of failure. And that's what stifles them. That's what ties them down. That's what imprisons them. Because before they even start anything, they're already afraid that, what is if I fail? Oh, poor baby. How far can you fall? Here's the ground. That's it. And then you get up, you dust yourself off, and you get going again. So everyone will fail. There's no such thing. I mean, I lost in bodybuilding competitions. I lost in weightlifting and powerlifting. I've had movies that go in the toilet. I've had my problems in a personal life. Yes, there will be failures. But you got to get up and dust yourself off and get going. Because if you stay down, you're a loser. And I hate losers.